Take my advice. Live a better life. Okay?
It's not that I don't want you here.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome. My name is Mookie, aka Miss Mookie. Well, today is another advice video. I love doing these for you guys. It's just something that just feels so natural, and I just love sharing my experience and my tips and tricks on how I get through life, because life is hard. Why not help each other out? Happy New Year, by the way. This is the first video of the new year, and today I'm just going to be giving some advice, tips and tricks on how to be more confident by dealing with your insecurities. This is something that's very near and dear to my heart because I've struggled with my self-confidence and my self-esteem for so many years, and I didn't realize that I lacked so much confidence and lacked so much self-esteem as well. So these are things that have helped me along the way. Big shout out to Ahead. It's an app. It's like Duolingo, but for your mental health. I recommend checking it out. This video is not sponsored by them, by the way, but I do recommend checking them out because they will do like a short quiz, and they will pinpoint the things that you should be trying to work on. So I love that because I'm always trying to better myself, and that's why I like doing these advice videos, because I think we should all be working towards bettering ourselves and becoming our higher selves and our better selves. Without further ado, let's get right into the video. What are insecurities? Uncertainty or anxiety towards yourself. This is going to be a lack of confidence. What your brain is going to depict this as is you being in danger. You are lacking protection, so your brain is going to bring up the make you feel insecure so that you can protect yourself and step back from the situation that is bringing up these feelings. The lack of confidence is being unsure of your abilities. And this is why self-exposure is really important, because self-exposure is exposing you to things that you're not comfortable doing and things that you don't necessarily know that you're capable of doing. So self-exposure is a great way to help you build confidence, but today I am going to be talking about insecurities. So a few signs to tell you that you are, experiencing insecure moment, and also the things that you can say to some things that you can say to yourself to stop those insecure thoughts and actions in its tracks, so that way over time you can become a more confident you. So here are 5 things or 5 signs that I'm sharing with you guys to help you identify when you're being insecure if you don't already know. So the first thing that you will notice is that your pitch or your pitch of your voice is higher than normal. So you're gonna be talking like this, and a more of a baby tone to just be more likable, and it's something that's a little it's something that is forced. People do naturally have higher pitched voices, and that's okay. That's not what I'm talking about. This is when you are changing the pitch of your voice to appear more likable to others, so that you're not feeling insecure about your own voice and your own self. The second sign is you are criticizing yourself, and I've talked about this in previous videos. This is going to be self-deprivation. This is going to be making bad jokes about yourself, calling yourself stupid, idiotic, or just bad things or bad names or mean things that you wouldn't normally say to other people, but you are criticizing yourself to the point where you are being really mean to yourself. The third sign of you being insecure, feeling insecure, is feeling judged. You're basically, what you're doing is going out into the world and judging yourself through others. One way to identify this is if you catch yourself thinking about others' opinions that they haven't even said. You're like, oh, this person might be thinking that I'm fake, or this person thinks this of me and that of me, and this person doesn't think I'm pretty. Like, that is judging yourself, and that is a sign of insecurity. Number 4 is feeling unnoticed. This is somebody who's very shy or you can have shy thoughts and you want to blend into the wall because you're just feeling like nobody can see you and you're feeling a bit neglected. So that is a for sure sign that you are feeling insecure. And then the fifth one is fake laughing, and this is something that I didn't notice that was a sign of insecurity, but I noticed I do that just to fill the air and fill the conversation where there's a silent pause or awkward pause. I force laughter, and I didn't know that was a sign of insecurity. So that's something good to know, and I'm glad I'm able to share that with you guys. Now that we've identified the 5 signs of insecurities, I'm sure there's more, but these are the ones that I'm familiar with, and that's why I'm sharing them with you, because I have tips and tricks on how to, stop these thoughts or actions in their tracks so that you can be a more confident version of yourself. So these are just my tips today are just going to be things that you can tell yourself or things that you can do to stop your insecure thoughts, so you can be a more confident and better you. I just said that. All right, so the first tip that I have, these are going to be 3 tips for like each topic. So if you bash yourself, if you're saying mean things to yourself because you are judging yourself, here's what I want you to do. I want you to tell yourself that you didn't fail. In fact, you've actually just learned something, whether that's about you or somebody else. Don't judge yourself. If you're thinking about doing it, just stop that thought in its tracks and say to yourself or think to yourself, this is something that I'm learning from. I just learned something new. What I used to do when I would notice that I was saying mean things about myself to myself, I would just stop it. I wouldn't, counter that thought. And then you want to realize you're not the only one to blame if something goes wrong. Or let's say, for instance, an interaction didn't go as well as you thought it should. You weren't the only one to blame. You were not responsible for the entire interaction. Everybody who was involved in that interaction is responsible for that interaction. So don't be so hard on yourself if you didn't do something right or you did something that was a little bit awkward. Who cares? It's okay. Remember, you're not the only one to blame if this interaction did not go well. You weren't the only one involved, so you were not the only one to blame. Just remember that if you're judging yourself based off of a certain interaction or a certain action that you did, just remember that. I promise it'll help. Another thing, if you do bash yourself or judge yourself, you want to counter your brain's negativity by recalling something good that's happened. And I actually did this today. I remembered an embarrassing moment. And 9 times out of 10, those embarrassing moments are only things that you think about. Like, everybody's busy thinking about themselves. Everybody's self-centered to a certain degree. So nobody's thinking about you. Not as much as you think anyways. If you catch yourself remembering an embarrassing moment and then you start bashing yourself after that embarrassing moment, you want to try to counter your brain's negativity by remembering or recalling something good about that situation. You can recall what you learned from that situation, or you can just bring up good qualities about yourself and say, oh, I've learned from that situation, that will never happen again. Don't be negative and don't bash yourself when you imagine or remember something that was embarrassing to you, because you've learned from that. And there are other good qualities that you can focus on rather than the negative qualities of one moment. It's not healthy to do that. So just try to counter your brain's negativity by talking good about yourself. For my people that struggle with social anxiety, if you find yourself shying away from something because you're feeling anxious about what's to come, because anxiety is just worrying about the future, because you don't know exactly what's going to happen. So if you catch yourself worrying about that, you're shying away and saying, oh, I don't think I'll do this because I'm just feeling anxious, or whatever the case may be, I want you to think to yourself, I'll enjoy the situation and learn from it. I will enjoy the situation and learn from it. So this is what I mean by soft exposure. So if you have a social event coming up and you are feeling anxious about the situation and you don't know how to socially interact with others, don't shy away. This is soft exposure, and you have to realize that it's good for you, it's good for your development, and it's good to help you build confidence, because you are going to be exposed to something that your brain is depicting as danger. So it's not a dangerous situation. Your brain is telling you it is because you are feeling insecure. So what you will need to do is go. And what I would do in the past is I would push myself to go to events, but I would drink. And this is why I like drinking a lot, because I wasn't my socially anxious self. Like, I was more relaxed and I was just more easygoing and talkative, and I would just push myself to go. But even that type of soft exposure helped me to become a more confident me, even without alcohol. I am open to going to social events and not being worried about talking to people or being socially awkward and not interacting with people well. Soft exposure is the key. So just heed my advice. Just take my advice. Live a better life. Okay? And then if you also shy away from doing things, it can be as simple as just telling yourself you can do this. You are capable of doing this, but your lack of confidence is making you think that you do not have the ability to do this. But you have to remember that you can do anything that you set your mind to. So if you say you're going to, do something that's making you socially awkward, socially anxious, then just remember, just think to yourself, I can do this. 9 times out of 10, you are able to do it. Point blank, period. There will be this thing where we are trying to be so perfect that we don't want to show our flaws, because people will not like us based on what flaws we're presenting. You want to put yourself out there before you are ready, so that you can learn how to do things without having to be perfect. Say you're starting a business venture, or even Instagram, for instance. You want to be a content creator, but you're so scared of being judged and afraid of what your peers might think. 9 times out of 10, they're not going to tell you what they think. 9 times out of 10, somebody tells you what they're thinking in a negative way, you're going to be able to brush that off. I'm sorry, people always have things to say. So think of it this way, like, if they're not talking, you're not doing something right. So if they're not talking, you're not putting your content out there. So, and this is just a scenario. So like, this can apply to anything. But you want to put yourself out there to teach yourself that you do not have to be perfect in order to obtain your goals. This is just a learning moment for you. So just put yourself out there before you're ready. Now, if you're somebody who tends to feel paralyzed by your insecurities, then I want you to just say to yourself, I'm not insecure, I'm just a little nervous. So you can identify how you're feeling. One, that's really good and healthy. You're identifying how you're feeling. So after you identify that you're not insecure, you're just being nervous, you can start to relax, because you're identifying how you're feeling at that moment. And you're like, this is no big deal. I've done this before. You also want to remember that your insecure thoughts are powerless, because they are just that. They are thoughts. But not only thoughts, they are insecure thoughts. So remembering that your thoughts are powerless, I want you to imagine climbing a ladder. You're climbing a ladder, and at the top of the ladder is a shelf. You get to sit on that shelf, because you are your higher self, okay? So you're climbing up that ladder, you get to the top of the shelf, you sit there, and you're able to look down onto your insecurities, because they cannot follow you up there. They are powerless. Whether you are, at the bottom of the ladder or at the top of the shelf, your insecurities are going to remain there, because they are powerless. So you have to move above them and look down on them, because you're better than that. Okay? So look down on your insecurities. Don't let them become you. Don't let them consume you. Look down on them. If you feel paralyzed by your insecurities, I want you to think to yourself, what emotions do you feel behind this? And then I want you to counter that by saying, I feel confident by ... fill in the blank. What makes you feel confident? And then you'll be able to, once you identify what makes you feel confident, you'll be able to counter those feelings behind that insecurity. The next few points that I'm going to make, the next few tips I'm going to share are going to be for those who judge themselves through others. And what this is you're just thinking other people are judging you, when 9 times out of 10 they're not. And if they are, who cares? Like, It's okay. But these are going to be things that helped me get through these moments where I felt like I was being judged and looked at and just like, oh, everybody's looking at me, everybody's staring at me. You gotta turn that into a power. Like, oh yes, give me energy. You're looking at me, okay? I feel better about myself because you're looking at me for a reason. Like, what? You're feeling criticized. I want you to think to yourself, I'll take this as well-intended feedback. Somebody said something to you, and instead of taking it personally and thinking this person is trying to attack me, I want you to take this and not think negatively about it. I want you to turn it into something positive. This person had good intentions behind whatever they just said to me. They want to see the best in me, so they intended this as good feedback. And that right there will stop paranoia and negativity in its tracks, because you're not thinking everybody is out to get you, and then your brain is not going to think that, oh, I need to be protected. So, like I said, your brain's way of protecting you is putting these insecure thoughts out here so you can stop what you're doing, because your brain's number one goal is to protect you. Okay, and then another thing you want to remember, and this has helped me a long way, because since my reels get a lot of views on Instagram, I get a lot of comments too, and they're not necessarily the nicest comments I've seen. They're actually pretty rude, but it's another story for another time. I want you to remember that people will only criticize you to distract themselves from their own troubles. And what this means is, happy people are not hating, and if they're hating, they're not happy. And I say this all the time. So to break it down for you guys, a person is only criticizing you so they can distract themselves from their own troubles, because instead of working on their own faults and what they don't like about themselves or things that they can get better at, they are distracting themselves and, using their time, not for themselves, but for you. So what a person is really saying is, when they criticizing you, I don't care what it is, and when they're criticizing you, whether you think it's true or not, they're literally just saying, I have things that I need to work on, but instead of working on them, I'm going to work on you. Point blank, period. Happy people are not hating, and if they're hating, they're not happy, because they have troubles of their own. And 9 times out of 10, everybody has their own troubles. So, but for me, I know how to deal with mine, I know how to cope with mine in a healthy way, so I'm not going to be out here hating on anybody. Let's be real. And also, if you feel criticized, I want you to think to yourself, because we can tend to feel guilty for things that we haven't done. You should only feel guilty if you've done something wrong. I'm going to say this again. You should only feel guilty if you've done something wrong. So, if you don't think you've done something wrong, don't criticize yourself for it. Like, yeah, a person could have perceived it a certain way, but not everybody thinks like you, so a way that you think they could have perceived it could be the complete opposite. So you should not feel guilty for things that you did not even do. Lastly, I want to talk about playing small, because this is something that I struggled with tremendously. So these are things that actually have helped me just stop playing small. And so if you catch yourself playing small, I want you to think to yourself, I want to act according to my values, not my insecurities. So if you catch yourself, playing small, dumbing yourself down, or things like that, or not saying no when you really mean, or not saying yes when you really mean no, just think that to yourself. And this can also mean people pleasing too. So you have to remember not to play small and not do things that you're not wanting to do because of people pleasing, and then also just not playing small. I want you to remember that you can make yourself proud by staying true to yourself. Don't do things that, your higher self wouldn't be proud of. And decision making doesn't have to be fast. So don't do things that, you yourself wouldn't be proud of. Just remember to stay true to yourself. And you can also picture your role model, or somebody that inspires you, or somebody that you would like to aspire to be like. You can ask yourself, what would they do? And what people say, what would Jesus do? That's what I mean by that. What would your role model or even your higher self do? I want you to keep that in mind when playing small and making hard decisions. And like I said, decisions do not have to be, quick, fast, and easy. You can take your time as long as you need, because this is going to affect you in some way, shape, or form. So you want to remember, keep thinking about your role model or even your higher self, and ask yourself, what would they do? All right, so that is the end of this video. I'm going to be coming at you guys with more, advice and self-help videos to level up and get closer to becoming your higher self. So if you guys found this video helpful, please let me know down in the comments below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.